All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Coach Michael Burt. I have right at 8 o'clock, and I am excited to be with you tonight. This is going to be an incredible webinar. I'm going to be breaking down some really big concepts. It's going to help you either launch, start, create your speaking business, maybe even earn millions of dollars per year speaking. And I'm going to basically break down some of the best things I've learned in my life, some of the worst things over the last 18, 19 years. And I think it's going to be well worth your time tonight. And in a world where there's a lot of chaos and confusion, I think the best thing we can be doing is learning, studying, evaluating, getting better. So I'm going to start off by basically asking you some questions tonight. Would you like to earn $1 million a year speaking? Okay, that's question number one. Okay, I want you to get that in your mind. Could you earn $1 million a year speaking? The answer is yes. Okay, would you like to share your message with the world? Do you feel like you have a song to sing and people to sing it to? Do you feel like your experiences can help other people live a better life? The things that you had, right? So if you feel like that, then, raise your hand and say, man, that's me, coach. I'm one of those people, right? Like, I'm one of these people. I would like to earn $1 million a year speaking. I would like to share a message with the world. I do have a song inside of me. I do feel like that my experiences can help another person. Or maybe you've baked the cake for a long time and you're now ready to sell the recipe. You see, the purpose of tonight's webinar really is to show you how to launch your speaking business and ultimately accelerate the monetization of that business. It's to help you launch a speaking career in less time, right? In less time, without trying to figure it out on your own, okay? Because tonight I could eliminate literally years off your life. I started speaking at the age of 15 years old, and I had a speaking coach, and I didn't intend on doing that. He saw some potential in me. He began to teach me how to have a cadence, how to have a rhythm, and over the next 20 or 30 years, I would speak on stages all over the world. Now, I'm going to be bringing in a special guest tonight with me, a person that's actually gone through my $1 Million Coaching Summit, named Cody Askins. And he's going to tell you how he took going through my coaching summit and turned it into monetization, how he created his conference, 8% Nation, how he's now getting on stages to speak with some of the biggest people in the world. And he is a product of the $1 Million Coaching Summit that I'm doing in May. So I'm going to have Cody join us in just a few minutes to get started. Now, number one, I want to thank you for investing your time. I understand you and I both agree, could agree that investing in ourselves will take us to a much higher level. I was 25 years old when I borrowed money from my mother, $2,500 to get certified in the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I knew that workshop could change my life, and I went to that workshop, and it did change my life. I learned those 7 habits. I mastered those 7 habits. I was going to speak on those 7 habits. I would begin to teach those 7 habits around the world, right? Because I invested in myself. This past year, I invested over $12,000 to take my team to a workshop on how to get on the biggest stages in the world. I walked out of there with a strategy. I walked out of there with a mindset. I walked out of there with a plan to take my message to the world, to share the message with the world. Now, really tonight, I'm ready to help you take all the knowledge that I've learned over the last 20 to 30 years speaking, earning millions of dollars in this industry, and really build a speaking career. So throughout the workshop tonight, here's what I want to encourage you. This is why you need to be listening, right? I know you've invested your time. I want to tell you why it's important to turn off your phone and to be here with me tonight, because we're going to coach you. I mean, we're literally going to coach you through some key elements and foundational things for you to be able to build, grow, scale a coaching company. If you'd be able to build $1 million, like if I would have gone back and somebody would have taught me these things when I was 25, when I first started speaking, there's no telling where I would be today. Okay, so I want you to be here with me, 35 or 40 minutes. We're going to buckle down and give you some good stuff. We will take questions. Okay, by the time we're finished, this is going to be a game changer for you. I'm going to give you a strategy. I'm going to give you a mindset. I'm going to give you a plan to build, launch, grow your speaking business. Now, for those of you that stick around to the very end with me, I got a bonus for you. If you stay till the end and you take action, okay, I've got a special bonus that I'm going to be giving to you, and it's taken me 15 to 20 years to be able to cultivate some of this. I'm going to just give it to you for taking action. Also, there is a full workbook that you can download that walks you step by step through the content that I'm covering tonight and through the $1 Million Coaching Summit. Simply raise your hand if you're interested in that. And what I'm going to do here is, as we get going, I'm going to post in the comments where you can get the workbook. I also have Lakin Hibden on my team that's going to be on here with us tonight. Lakin at coachburt.com, Eric White, who's on my team, Eric at coachburt.com. They're going to be here to help you. There are going to be times that I'm going to be asking you to raise your hand, and you could just click on your computer and raise your hand. That way I know you're interested in something. So just remember, there's a workbook to take advantage of that covers everything, right? Okay, and Katrina Gray from my team, the workbook is also in the handout section on the everyone's screen. There we go. Okay. So there's a workbook, plus we're going to be able to take action on something. Okay. Now let's get started. Cody, I'm going to go ahead and bring you in, Cody Askins. That way, as we begin to go through some of these things, how you doing, big guy?
I'm great, Coach. How are you?
Okay, and you're over in a little small town in Missouri. I'm taking it, right?
That's right. Big old Springfield, Missouri.
All right, good. Now, we're going to be going through some stuff tonight, Cody, and I want you to as you listen to this content that I'm going to be going through, I'm going to be asking you some questions because you're a product of the $1 Million Coaching Summit that I've got coming up in May. You went to last year's coaching summit, and I really want to show these folks how they monetized the message, or how you've monetized the message, because I think that's an important part of seeing something, going through it, taking it, turning it into money, because this is one of the biggest struggles that I see that people have. They do have a song to sing. They do have a message they want to share, but what they don't know how to do is package that message and sell that message to get on a stage, and then ultimately have something on the back end of that stage to sell people. And we can show you how, when I spoke at Cody's conference, 8% Nation, a year ago, we turned that into almost $150,000 of new revenue. So, but I couldn't have done that if I couldn't get on the stage, and I couldn't have done that if I didn't have a message, and I couldn't have done it if I didn't build a relationship with Cody, and I couldn't have done that. Like, there's a lot of inside baseball that people don't know. So I'm going to go through a few things, and Cody, I'm going to ask you some questions because you're using some of the methodology here. I have some core beliefs, guys, and my core beliefs are that stages matter. And let me tell you why I have these core beliefs. I believe in batching opportunity together, meaning you could take one meeting with one person, or you could take a meeting with 5,000 people, okay, and where they could feel your energy, sense your passion, see how you can help them. You can showcase your abilities. So I believe that speaking is the #1 strategy to every big thing that you're going to do in the world. No matter what you do, out of everything we do, the #1 driver of leads, and we're producing about 1,000 leads a month this way, is through speaking. Right? That's the #1 way we're doing it. Every major contract I've ever signed started with me speaking. I met Cody from me speaking at 10X to 10,000 people. That opened the door for me to speak at 8% Nation. That opened the door, right, for relationship. That opened the door for more. So they asked Warren Buffett if he would invest in a college student right now, and he said, I would invest 50,000 right now for anyone who's had extensive classes in speaking. People who can communicate. Speaking activates an energy, and it allows you to sell more people. See, 10X, when I spoke at 10X, was worth probably $1 million of new revenue to me from one stage. Okay, so that's what I want you to get your mind around. We have a strategy this year to get me on 24 stages at an average of 60,000 per stage for $2 million of revenue. That's like, we've got a strategy for that. So I would like to get you to the point where you're not only charging for your speaking engagements, and there's both speaking engagements online, in person, at conferences. You can host your own conferences. There's all kinds of ways that you can get in front of people and speak, but I want to show you the power of how you can really monetize speaking. And it's not just from the front end of getting a speaking fee, it's from the back end of being able to sell a product or service or coaching program to people. Okay, the real money is made at the engagement with the product that you can scale. Okay. And we'll talk a little bit about that. So if you're out there and you bake the cake and you want to sell the recipe, then this is going to be for you. Now, the new trend that's out there is speak for free to create leads, create opportunity, get in front of more people. And I believe if done correctly, you can generate hundreds of thousands of new dollars through speaking. So Cody, you saw me speak at 10X. You got inspired to have your own conference, which has turned into a big conference. But when did it hit you that speaking could be a number one thing for you in your business?
Yeah, this is something I was thinking about today. So, and I've shared this very little over the last few years, and I really need to share it more. And I knew growing up watching my grandfather. My grandfather was a Baptist pastor, preacher, evangelist, etc. for 40, 50 years. He just passed away last year, exactly a year ago, I think yesterday. And I knew growing up, watching him speak, that I want to be a public speaker when I grow up. And then when I got into sales, I started watching Zig Ziglar and Tracy. And it's always been a dream of mine to speak when I grow up.
Yeah. And when you think about this, seeing those people on that stage at 10X, feeling that energy, that motivated you to want to go back and have your own conference, because that is a way to guarantee you get on stage, right?
Exactly. Yeah. If I can't get on other people's stage, I can at least get on my own, you know?
Yeah, but now you're getting on other people's stages, and I think that's what I
Yeah.
want other people to understand. So with you guys' permission, there's a couple things I want to reveal to you. One is Cody came through my $1 Million Coaching Summit, and he went through 2.5 days with me where I broke down how to speak, how to get on stages, how to coach through a model, how to lead, how to build online products, how to do that, right? And when you walked out of that coaching summit, which is this year, it's May 7th through the 9th, 2020 at my lodge. When you walked out of that coaching summit, what did you take back that these folks who are watching this, what did you take back and said, okay, now I can implement this?
Dude, I mean, not only did I leave like super jacked up and serious about monetizing a coaching program, a book, speaking a lot more. I mean, I was there. Was that in October? Just
Yes.
literally last year. It was October. I've already spoke, and I got another 3 events in like the next 60 days. I already spoke probably 6 times this year,
Yeah.
and we spoke at a couple events together, and it's really because I left there with specific steps, because a lot of people struggle with, okay, I want to do something, but I don't know how to go and do it. And you lay out everything, absolutely everything. You answer any questions. I mean, the stuff that you give away in those 2.5 days, and I'm not just saying it, is remarkable. And it gave me the specific things that I needed to do to build a coaching program, to get on 24 stages a year, to write a book. And what does that look like? How do you publish the book? How many chapters does the book need? How many words does the book have? All these questions I've had for probably a decade, you answered in a couple days.
Yeah. And that's really the purpose. Is I think the people who are on here tonight, they have something inside of them. They may not be clear yet on what that message is. They may not know how to distribute that message to the market. They may not know how to do a one sheet. They may not know how to get a speaking gig. They may not have to do it, but in essence, they baked the cake. They've been good at baking the cake. Now it's time to sell the recipe, and there is monetization. And just an example, my own wife had never written a book in her life. She didn't know how to write a book. And if you guys don't know the story, I got excited at 10X, and we were having dinner, and I actually went on Facebook and volunteered her to write her first book called Living with the Monster. And she didn't want to write it. She was scared to death. And then she wrote it, and then she got asked to speak on it. Now she's speaking at women's conferences. Now she did a women's thing with Lauren, Cody's wife, at 8%. I mean, the point is you have it in you. Now let's talk about how we can pull it out of you, because that's real critical to this. I started speaking at 15 years old when I ran for a national Beta Club office. Beta Club is an honor society. And a local dentist in town came to me and said, man, I see some potential in you. I have a background in drama and arts, and with your permission, I'd like to coach you. And I'm like, you see something in me? And he's like, yeah, you got big personality, you got good energy, He's like, if you'll come up to my house every night after basketball practice, I'm going to coach you in how to build cadence, rhythm, make eye contact. I'm going to coach you in how to speak. And he would help me write speeches. I would go on to run for a national Beta Club office. And my job as a national officer was to travel the country and do what? Speak at other Beta Club conventions. And my first engagement was 6,000 people in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and I was scared to death. Okay, I threw up before I went out on stage. I was so scared. I'm like, oh my gosh, there's 6,000 people out there. But I did it, guys. And I worked the muscle and I love the energy. And it taught me the power of connection. It taught me the power of a stage. And so I started very early speaking. Now, little did I know that I was going to go on to be a basketball coach, win a championship, and then come back to speaking later in my life. But that seed was planted very early in my life. Okay. I was turned on to the energy. I was turned on to the excitement. And then I began to study a guy named Dr. Stephen Covey and the 7 habits of highly effective people. And then I got certified in the 7 habits. And then I could go back and teach those 7 habits. And I used literally my basketball players as little guinea pigs for my messages. Now, I see a lot of people that are on here that have teams. One of the best places to start speaking and practicing your content is with your own team, because you got a little built-in audience every day, and you can try this tactic and try this strategy and tell this story, right? So at 25 years old, after going through Covey and learning frameworks, see, here's a very important point I want you to understand. When you're speaking or people are hiring you to speak, they're hiring you because you have some unique knowledge. You have some unique framework. You have some unique system. You have some solution to a problem that they're trying to solve. Like I know you can get up there and be inspirational, but inspirational speakers today are a dime a dozen, guys. They're everywhere. Like, you need some meat on the bone. You need a framework. You need a methodology. You created a structure. You created a process. You invented something. You created something, right? And you're speaking to other people because they don't have that structure. So what you're really selling is not only your knowledge and your skill and your desire and your confidence, you're selling a structure. Okay. And people in that audience, like Cody, is now going around the country speaking on his insurance structures, his lead generation structures. He's speaking on how he became a successful, how he sold $100,000 insurance in his first year. Like, he's speaking on things he is an authority on. And he's not getting himself into trouble by trying to speak on things that he doesn't know anything about, which is a mistake I kind of made early on. People would call me and ask me to speak about this. Oh yeah, I can speak on that. Oh, I can speak on that. Oh yeah, I can speak on that, right? And then I started to hone out, this is my message. This is what I want to say to the world. And so Cody, explain to them how, when you did come to the coaching summit, it helped you to understand that you're really out there. You're coaching people through a structure, and you're selling that structure. The stage just gives you ability to showcase the structure you have that can solve a problem for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I know for me, I just started speaking a couple years ago, and you mentioned something a second ago that I thought about, which is when I first started speaking a couple years ago, I actually paid to speak a month before 8%. Right, so I paid 19 grand to be a part, sponsor an event, got to speak, and I spoke 1 month before 8%. And when I did that, I really didn't speak on the topic I should have. And I didn't really know what I was doing. I learned a lot at the coaching summit on specifically how to go on stage with an intent to engage the audience. And when you watch you speak at these different events, you learn a lot about the things that you're doing, you know. And not only did I learn specifically how to structure my message, how to monetize it, what the back end should look like, what the business should look like, what the team should look like, but now I'm literally able to go out with confidence, get on stage, repeat a message that is working, and be able to back it up afterwards.
Now, he said something that's very important here. When I first began to speak, about 25 years old, after I'd coached and been successful, it's because I had written a book called Changing Lives Through Coaching, and I had a methodology. I really believe that you could change a person's life through the coaching process, right? I had started to win some games, so I had a demonstrated capacity. That's something very important I want you thinking about. What demonstrated capacity do you have where you have proven to do something to be very successful that another person would want to know? What specifically is it? Do you know how to sell at a high frequency? Do you know how to solve complicated problems? Do you know how to do that? What is it that you know how to do that you feel an authority on, that you can speak on? That you have so much conviction when you're speaking, people can feel it. It's like, right, you've had revelation about it, you've got conviction about it, you're taking action on it. So at 25 years old, I had a message. The message was changing lives through coaching. And I wrote a little book for coaches. But here's the funny thing, coaches didn't buy it. Coaches are stubborn, prideful people. So I had this book about how to be a successful coach, but I couldn't sell it to any coach. But here's who did begin to buy it. Business people began to buy it. And they said, will you come out and speak to my people, and specifically my managers, on how they can become coaches? And I went out and I began to speak for free. Had no idea what to charge, didn't charge anything, just got on stage, tried to connect with the audience, right? And I began to speak literally 15, 20, 30, 40 times. I'm talking everywhere you can imagine. I call it the rubber chicken circuit, the Rotary clubs, the exchange clubs. I would go speak at something where people, the average age was 78 years old, and I didn't know if they were dead or alive, right? I didn't know if they came for the chicken or for the message. But I would just go in there and I would take this one message, changing lives through coaching. Then it became another message, the inspirational leader. Then it became a signature message for me. This ain't no practice life. And I began to work through these messages until I found, like, this is hitting home. This is hitting it. No matter where I'm at, people are responding to this. Okay. And so the speaking was very important, because you can get on stages as a showcase event and speak at no fee. Speak like don't get caught up in how much I'm going to make. Get caught up in being really, really good. And more than anything, having one message to begin with. You don't need 35 messages. You need one thing that says, I'm an expert right here. And I like to ask people, if you had a TED talk, and they only gave you 18 minutes, what would be the number one thing you would speak on? If 6 million people were going to watch you speak, okay, and you had 18 minutes in the number one area you were number one in, what would your TED talk be? What would you be? Because this clarity is what you need. So at 25, I began to speak around the country. I began to not get paid. I was speaking for free. And then people would come to me and say, hey, will you coach my people? Like, we really enjoyed you speaking. Will you come back? And I'm like, sure, right? And then people begin to pay me more in an hour than I made in a whole month. And then they begin to say, will you coach our people? And I said, well, what does that look like? And one company said, we're going to pay you $144,000 to be the coach of our company. This was not fun work. This is coaching people in nursing homes. I've coached people in maximum security prisons, right? So here's the deal. Be good at every one deal turns into 5 deals. Okay, be good at every one deal turns into 5 deals, but you got to be really, really good. So at age 31, I retired from athletic coaching, and I began to build what first would just become a speaking business, which means I would go out into the marketplace. I had a message. I had 5 books out in the market. This is the importance of writing a book. The book is a message. People would say, will you come speak to my people? I'd go in and speak to the people, and there would be 6 more people at the event say, will you speak to my people? Because my people need this message. And I would say, well, sure. Then they begin to ask, well, how much would you charge? And I had no idea. And I said to one person, man, 3 hours, $350. And they said, we'll take it. And I'm like, $350, like making an hour. I'm making $100 an hour. This is incredible. Okay. And I went in there and he said, man, this is good. We enjoyed it. So for you, over the last 11 or 12 years, I've studied every strategy available on how to earn income from speaking, coaching, training, publishing, online academies, online programming, kids things, greatness factories. And over the past, X number of years, we built this multi-million-dollar coaching business. And that's really what we're talking about tonight. I have a coaching summit that will be coming up May 7th through the 9th, 2020 at my lodge, to where you can come and go through the same thing that Cody went through. Cody, talk to the group about how, when you went through the coaching summit, it helped you to think about your message at a higher frequency, or think about the structure you were coaching people on, because most people are not clear on their message, who their message is supposed to go to, who it would benefit from, what demonstrated capacity they have. They got an idea, but they don't have clarity over that. Talk a little bit about how that coaching summit helped you get the clarity on, this is what I need to be talking about around the world.
Yeah, so I mean, to give you some real life like business concept out of it, I mean, we've got 5 different companies now, different divisions in our. My Cody Askins brand is the one I'm most passionate about. It's training, consulting, coaching. But I really have had this all of last year, and we built a website in like December of 2018 or something. And I really just ignored it for months because we got these other businesses. I was putting time into them, and when I went to the summit, it really woke me up to wanting to develop the company and the brand and the coaching program and everything else that I'm really passionate about and that I really wanted to do. And so by doing that, I immediately and we had literally no revenue. And from October, I think in December, we did over 30 grand in like consulting. In January, we did, I believe, 44,000 bucks, and it's just continue. We've got a sales team and attention. I've been growing this brand online for about 4 years. And because of that summit and the exact things I learned and investing 5,000 bucks and doing it, there's a good chance, our Cody Askins brand will do 800,000 bucks this year on something that I had ignored for months and years at a time.
Yeah. Now I want you to hear that. He invested the money to come to the coaching summit, walks out of there, immediately gets a 6-time return on his money. Now he's thinking he's going to do, $600,000 to $800,000 more dollars in his personal brand. And I want to bring up a strategy that he just mentioned that's very important to the speaking. Okay. And remember, you can get the workbook. Katrina Gray, if you could post a link for them to get the workbook in the notes section, that'd be really good because it covers everything that I've covered at the coaching summit. We're giving you one little piece of it tonight, but that's a 2.5-day summit that we've got the workbook. Katrina can post the link so that you can get that and everybody can have it. Here's the deal. He mentioned something. Okay. He mentioned what I call the person of interest strategy. Okay. Many of you downloaded a guide to getting on stages that we gave you. And it talks about to get on stage, you got to have a compelling message, right? You got to have this person of interest strategy. And when you're thinking about this strategy, I wrote down in my notes, to be a person of interest, what demonstrated capacity have you shown to get the results to give you a platform to speak on? Okay. What demonstrated capacity have you shown to get the results to street for? Now, listen, when I say demonstrated capacity, I didn't write a book and start speaking on how to win a championship when I wrote the book, The Anatomy of Winning, right, Cody, until I won a championship. Okay. I'm not here telling you how to build a multi-million-dollar speaking business until I built a multi-million-dollar speaking business, right? I'm not telling you how to write a book until I've written 16 books. So what I'm asking you, and I'd love if you commented in the comments, is what do you believe is your demonstrated capacity? That is your message. Where have you shown a real talent, a skill set? Like my new book, Single Digit Millionaire. I wrote that when I got my net worth to over $5 million. I can't write the book Double Digit Millionaire because my net worth's only 5 million, right? Now, when it becomes 15 million, then I can write Double Digit Millionaire. But so you got to ask yourself, I'd love for you to type in comments if you're going to be this person of interest, because you got to have something to say to get on the stage. We believe having something to say is just as valuable as having somebody to say it to. So let me ask you these questions. What's an area you feel completely confident in? Okay. So confident that people would pay you to talk about this one thing. What problem is your speech going to solve? Okay. When I wrote the book, $1 Million Follow-Up, it's a 7-touch system to do what? Help you build a follow-up system to solve what problem? How much money we're losing. When I wrote the book, Person of Interest, the message on person of interest is about how you become so valuable that people are chasing you versus you chase them, right? You are the person of interest. Okay. What specific problems, okay? What specific problems can you solve? Now, you may be out there saying, well, this all sounds good, Coach Burt, and it's easy for you because you got all these books behind you, and Cody Askins got his own conference. But here's what I would tell you. I started with a simple message. I started with a little self-published book and a message. And I got on stages to speak for free, and that's what opened up these doors for me. Cody started with an idea for a conference. Only 8% of insurance people are successful. 92% fail, 8% are successful. That's an idea. You have that idea in you. Some of you are writing those in there. Andy Cheatham, thank you. Feel so confident on construction, how to grow a successful business starting with nothing. That's it. You just need to take that and package it up. And you're going to hear me talk about position by concept. If you want to speak, you need to position by concept and make the concept so strong that if they don't know who you are, they would still be interested in you speaking. Okay. Now let me give an example. Marshall Silver is speaking at Cody's conference, right? Cody. And he created the concept called irresistible influence. Well, if you didn't know who Marshall Silver is, you'd still want to go hear the concept of irresistible influence, right? If you didn't know who Coach Burt was, you'd still want to go hear person of interest. If you didn't know who Cody Askins was, right, you'd still want to come to a 8%. Like tell me about how I get in 8%. Okay, so you're going to hear me talk about positioning by concept to get on stages. And I had a business coach that taught me this very early. He said, before you become famous, create concepts that people would come for the concept, even if they don't know who you are, right? So when you think about it, you may be out there thinking, well, this just sounds good, Coach Burt. You're 20, 25 years into this. But I can tell you guys, when I started, I didn't have a selling system, an explanation of service. I didn't know how to get on a stage. I didn't know how to charge for my services. I was scared to death. Like I didn't know how to pitch a service. Okay, Michael O'Donnell, thank you. You guys are saying prospecting, presenting, and closing to generate 7-figure income. See, that's good. Kelly Knowles, what you got? I've been doing it for years. It comes naturally. Working on I'm all about helping people. Good. What you got to do is pull that down. Amanda Banks, transition from a toxic work environment to sharing joy in business. See, I'd sign up for that right now, girl. Okay. Greg Kimball, concept is key. Absolutely. Okay. Now, what we're getting you guys to think about, and I thank you for participating in this, is we're getting you to think about, if I called you tomorrow and said I had a spot at one of my summits, but I need you to speak on this one thing, what would it be? If Cody called you tomorrow and said, I'm going to put you on stage at 8% Nation, and you got 22 minutes or 18 minutes, and I'm going to put you in front of 2,000 people, what's it going to be, right? So this is very, very, very important for you. If you haven't downloaded the workbook yet, you need to get the workbook, because this is going to walk you through it, okay? And remember, the coaching summit is going to be May 7th through the 9th, 2020 at my lodge. And we're going to break all this stuff down. Everything Cody's talking about, everything I spent 25 years working on, we're going to help you accelerate. I so wish I would have had a coach from 20 to 30 like I had at 15 who was showing me here's how to do it, right? Here's what you got to do. Here's how you got to do it. Now, what is your message? Okay. And how is it different from all the messages that are out there? Okay. I want you to think, what is your message and how is it different than every message that is out there? Okay. Because in today's world, there's more coaches, there's more speakers, there's more everybody, right? And you could say, well, the way I deliver my message is different. And that could be true. Like you got a message and it's not that differentiated, but the way you deliver the message and the way you connect to the audience is incredibly powerful. When you see me speak, and Cody will tell you this, it's not that I'm bringing some type of rocket science to the equation, or as George W. Bush said, it's not rocket surgery. It's not like I'm bringing some kind of new concept, but it's many times the way I connect to the audience, the way I activate the prey drive, the coaching, the cadence, the thing, okay? But if I ask you, what is your message and how's it different from all the other messages out there, what would you tell me? Because you can't have a generic message. You can't have a boring message, right? So I want you to think action-oriented. $1 million follow-up is an action-oriented, okay? 10X is an action-oriented, okay? Think about this. These are actions that people take. Instead of statements, think actions, okay? So think of it this, packaging your past. We use Jonathan Hawkins, who is on here tonight, for our marketing, and he's a former military intel officer that has a unique skill set in understanding how the brain works, brain science, how to feed the brain information, taking that and packaging it up to building a marketing plan for someone or position himself as an expert. This is the topic, how I use brain science and my past as a former military intel officer to teach you how to do this. Okay, what you want to do is package up your past, okay, so you can help me build my future. Now, Cody, what will a person gain by going to the summit or downloading the workbook? What's the upside? You alluded to some of that. There's Denise Dean. What's up, Denise? Making slight shift in mindset. Thank you, Daniel Hodges. Overcoming extreme pain and setbacks. Okay. Michael O'Donnell, learn to love Learn to love the no. I like that. Now we're getting somewhere, Michael. Now we're getting somewhere. Sell discovery through sobriety and service. I like that. And we can tweak some of these messages, guys, and make it boom. Like, I got to have that dude speak at my conference. So you mentioned a little bit about the gain, but I want you to think about this. What I want, there's people watching this webinar tonight, and they're probably thinking, man, I got a little message, but there's no way I could make any money with it, or do millions of dollars with it. Like tell them about the potential gain, the financial gain. Because the top communicators in the world, you're booking speakers at your conference and paying some of the, you paid speakers at your conference as much as $70,000 to speak for an hour. Am I right or wrong about that?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. So the potential gain. Now, these are people that spoke for 1 hour, but that's not where the real money is made. The real money is made by getting on the stage, speaking, and having a product or service to sell on the back end. And we're going to show you how to do that at the coaching summit as well, right? And show, so think speak, coach, train, lead, online programming, digital assets. Like, tell them about the gain so they can get their mind around this is a real business, guys. There's serious monetization here.
Yeah, I mean, I even felt it because I've spoke a little bit on and off, the last couple years and last 18 months. And at the summit, I left with a better way to not only attract leads, but a better way to attract leads and monetize when I do get on stage and speak. Because I'm someone that, and a lot of people watching are probably the exact same way. You're like, dude, I'll go to Maine you don't have to pay. Like, I want experience. I want to travel and circulate and be seen speaking with people like Coach Michael Bird and Tim Story. And that's me, but at the same time, when I do that and I'm learning and I'm gaining experience and I'm getting better at my craft, I'm getting around, I'm networking, meeting people like you, there's still got to be a purpose to it, and I struggle with a lack of purpose to the song, if you will, for the last 18 months. And at the summit, it gave me a little more purpose of framework and of how those things start to work. I mean, one thing that I'm big on, and I've spent the last 12 months, I've spent more money on myself in personal development and self-improvement than I've spent in the previous 28 years of my life. And I can promise you, never been any amount of money that I've spent with you on myself and personal development, self-improvement that I regret in any way. And I've seen return on investment every time I've pulled the trigger on something, whether I wanted to or not. And I know that stuff pays off.
Yeah, and many times we're scared to do that. So I want to stop right there. Thank you, Cody, for saying that. And I want to unmute Amanda Banks. Amanda, what question do you have for me so far about what we're talking about tonight? Because what I'm trying to get your mind around is this speaking thing is for real. You have something special. You do have a song to sing. There are people to sing it to. We want to get clarity of our message. We want to get clarity of who we want to share the message with. And we want to get clarity of how what we have to say can help other people. Now, you may be wondering, I don't want to speak in person. Some of you are like, I don't want to speak in person. I certainly get that. You guys know that when I coach Monster Producer every month, I teach it live twice a month. We simulcast one of those literally all over the country. So we use a church model, and I talk about that at the coaching summit and in the workbook, a church model where I teach and I simulcast it out to the world. We could have 70, 80,000, 90,000 people watching that at a time, right? So some of you are saying, I don't want to do it in person. There's online speaking, right? Like what you're going to see right now is you're going to see a lot of these conferences over the next couple months be online conferences. Today, I was doing webinars and podcasts with people all around the world. I was being exposed to thousands of people through online conferencing. So Amanda, what's piqued your interest so far in this workshop tonight?
Yeah, everything's piqued my interest. I do feel like I have a great story to tell. I guess my question is how do you maintain consistent messaging through all the different verticals, and over time, how do you go about evolving that message?
Yeah, that's a great question. And that's Amanda Banks, and she's in the Monster Producer Coaching Program, and she's got a world of potential. What I say to that is this. When I first started speaking, Amanda, I spoke 100 times on the same message. This ain't no practice life. I gave it in the same rhythm. I told the same jokes. I hit it at the same time. I had the same cadence. I like too many people go out there and they dabble with the message. It's called a signature talk. If you ever go through, Pete Vargas's stuff, which I've gone through. I've paid the $12,000 to go through Pete Vargas's stuff. They call it a signature talk. It is your core message. And the way, if it's a universal message, like your concept of sharing joy, getting toxic, I almost said toxicity. I don't know if that's a word or not, but getting the toxic piece out of the work environment, you could take that message everywhere. It's like my message on Pray Drive. What room could you put me in that I couldn't talk about activating the Pray Drive in a person? Because every person has a Pray Drive. So for you, I think you get a core message. You give that message over and over and over and over and over. Cody's seen me give the same message, I bet 25 times. And every time, hopefully, I get better at giving that message. And I add a wrinkle to that message. And I may add a new story to that message. And I always joke with Cody, and I'll say, hey, you ain't heard me say that, have you? It's like one little wrinkle I had. It's like one little idea I had this morning or something that happened yesterday. But the message is the same, guys. And there's a very big point here. You don't, when you see Stephen Covey talk about the 7 habits of highly effective people, and you see him speak 5 years later, and 5 years later, guess what? He's still talking about the 7 habits of highly effective people. He don't change what he believes, guys. When you see Cardone talk about 10X, how many times have you seen him tell the same stories about 10X? Right? Big time people don't change their message. So I would tell you, for every person that's on here, you got a core message. That's your signature talk. You give that talk to anybody who will listen to it as many times as you can listen to it. And then you get great at giving that one talk. And then you take it to different arenas. Okay. Then you take it from going to certain arenas. Because you're looking at the coaching summit in September, Amanda. Am I right about that?
That's correct.
Okay. I think somebody with your talent potential, I think you would accelerate very quickly in the speaking world. And here's the deal. I want everybody to understand this. Speaking, no matter what you do for a living, is going to drive interest. Okay. I think of somebody like Brad Blazer, who went through our coaching summit, and now he's speaking in different countries, and he's getting on stages, and he's got his own coaching program. When he came to me, he literally had a very small percentage of that, if any. I think about Nate Alford, who is now speaking and doing webinars, who was doing some speaking, but just to his own team. He was never speaking outside of that. He was never speaking on stages. He was never doing the webinars. He was never on social media. Like, he had all this stuff inside of him, but he didn't know how to go out and monetize it. He didn't know how to go out there and produce it. These are people who have gone through the coaching summit, right? Now, the dates in September, for those of you that are asking that can't come to the one in the spring, the one in the spring is coming up May 7th through the 9th. And Denise, thank you for that question. The coaching summit is the 24th through the 26th of September. 24th through 26th of September. Those will be at my lodge. Now, I've also got Jonathan Hawkins on here tonight, and I'm going to ask him. Jonathan, you went through the coaching summit. And as we've been talking about these things tonight, what has struck a chord with you that you think is valuable to the people that are on here? Because we've got 25 good people on here tonight.
Well, I think can you hear me?
Yes.
I think what's super important is for everyone to understand that although you have 25 plus years of experience, we don't need to get all of that in these 3 days. And what I mean by that is it's packaged in a way where all we have to do is take one of the pillars, whether that's the online academy, whether that's the speaking, whether that's the personal coaching, whatever the case may be. It's much more than a coaching summit. It's really the type of summit that you don't see out there, because you're talking, even tonight, you're talking about speaking from stage, you're talking about writing books, you're talking about all of these different things. And I think for the last person, your question was, in my eyes, I kind of viewed that as, well, how do I apply this to my scenario because I want to do X? Well, the greatest thing that I realized at the coaching summit is that everybody is an expert in one thing. I truly believe that anybody can monetize the knowledge in their brain, they can get that message to the right person when they're wired to take action. Well, you don't have to do that in every single pillar. You don't have to do it from a stage if you don't like speaking on stage. You don't have to do that from in-person coaching if you don't like in-person coaching. So I think the best takeaway for me is there's so many opportunities out there, and I think most people, including myself prior to the event, was how am I going to do all of these things? How am I going to become an expert at all these things? And the best part about it is you don't have to. And there's people out there that have already gone through the things that we're hoping to get through. And if you can package those up in a matter of 3 days, I don't know what the value on something like that would actually be worth for somebody who's actually done it, because there's lots of coaches out there that have tried to do something and it failed. So instead they went the coaching route. But for somebody who's actually done it, succeeded, and then coaching people, and again, not holding back any secrets. Again, most businesses are on the 80-20 model, give them 80%, so they have to come back with the additional 20. Well, I think Cody can attest that you gave more than 100% away, where a lot of people would say, hey, those are my secrets, so I'm going to keep those in my back pocket. And that's not, I didn't feel that at all.
Yeah. And thank you for saying that. I really, really have taken the last 20 something years and made every mistake you can make, and I feel part of my journey in life is helping other people share their message. And if you ask me, out of everything I did last year, what did I enjoy the most? It was the $1 Million Coaching Summit, the energy, the people, because there's something about a group of people who have something inside of them that is so strong. They want to get it out to the world. And so Daniel Hodges, who's in Monster Producer, said the coaching summit was phenomenal, really got to a turning point with my message and how to share it. Daniel's now coaching. He's now speaking at 180 Ministries. He's now doing a lot of things. And, I just want you to know tonight that we're here to help you. Like tonight's webinar was about helping you have a belief in you, for obviously the people that stayed on the whole time. I've got a bonus for you for those that take action, and for those that are interested in committing tonight to the coaching summit, May 7 through 9, or the one in September. I've got a special thing I'm going to do for you. I'm going to do a private VIP night with just me and you at my lodge as part of the coaching summit to work on you and your message and how we can help you monetize that message faster. And that's going to be for the people who commit and take action. We're going to do that for the first 5 people who commit tonight. So if you're interested in committing, what I'd like for you to do is just type your name down in the bottom, just say I'm in, and Lake and Hibden and Eric White can reach out to you and get you enrolled so we can get you up and get you started. Because I like to tell people we can have this talk today or we can have it 5 years from today. And like Cody, like Jonathan, like the people who are the people who have committed to their future, they're good. You've got something really special in you. You just don't know how to package it. You don't know how to sell it. And you don't really know exactly, how to take it to the market. The question that Tony asked is, what's the cost? The investment is $5,000 for the coaching summit. And that includes 2.5 days with me at my lodge in Tennessee. There'll probably be 50 to 60 people there that have a message they want to share. And I'm going to help them take this message to the market. I see Sean Vernon said he's going to be there. Michael O'Donnell, there's going to be there. Thank you for committing to that. Denise Den, thank you for committing to your future. Okay. Tony, we want you in. We want you in. This is going to be a game changer for you. So I'm going to read those names out so we make sure we have those. Michael O'Donnell, Andy Cheatham, okay, Denise Den, okay, Sean Vernon. Those are people who've already committed to the coaching summit. So thank you for that. You can also get the workbook tonight, guys. Okay, Katrina's going to post that. I think I've posted it a few times for you to get the workbook if you want to download that. So one more time, the bonus for the first 5 people to commit, private time with me at the coaching summit on the Friday night. And we're going to spend some time just with you in a room. And what's the intimacy of that? Cody, I'm going to do a private VIP thing at your conference at 8% Nation. I did a private VIP at Door to Door, which is where I met Sean Vernon and where I met Michael O'Donnell and some of the big players in the door-to-door industry. What's the value of being in a room with people who have done it? I mean, our goal, just so you know, for people on here is to sell $350,000 of coaching every 30 days. And our speaking goals are to produce, 24 stages and try to produce $2 million of revenue through speaking. And so what's the value, Cody, of being in a room? What's the value of being in a room in an intimate setting like that, where you can ask the hard questions and really get down to the nitty gritty for the people to take action? I think people take action get rewarded. So what's the value of that?
Yeah, I mean, every time that I've done something like that, I mean, you can't even put a number on it, to get to sit there and ask you whatever question I want, is priceless. I remember watching you speak 18 months ago or 2 years ago at 10x2, and out of everyone else, I just felt like you connected with the audience better than anybody else on stage, man. And I just thought, you know what? I need to get to know that dude. And by getting to have you in settings like that ever since, I know that my prey drive is activated when I get around big time people like you. And there's times in life where we need our prey drive activated. And events like this and hanging out with dudes like you is a great way to activate it.
Yeah. And I think you think bigger, you walk out of there and take action. Here's what I don't want to happen, guys. I don't want us to have these talks, and they're good talks and they're good webinars, and we're still having this talk next year. And you haven't written the book, you haven't worked on your message, you haven't got on a stage, you're not doing any webinars, you're not doing podcasts, you're not growing your personal interest score. I mean, in my opinion, at some point we got to draw a line in the sand. Like I went to a conference once, and then we'll take a few questions if you have questions. I went to a conference once, and this woman was up there speaking. I sat in the very back row, and I said to myself, I can do this. Like, I know I can do this. Like, she's doing it, right? And I went up to her and I asked her, how did you get do it? And she wouldn't pay any attention to me. She wouldn't even hardly answer me. She's like, well, I did this. And I thought, oh, you're up here on stage, like you're doing it. Like tell me how to do it. But I knew in my heart, and I knew in my spirit, that I can do this, and I can do it as good as that woman's doing it, and maybe even better than that woman's doing it. And so there's also more to the equation as well, guys, of not only having a message, but how do you get on a stage? How did I get on stage at 10X? How have I gotten on stage at some of the biggest conferences in the country? How do you do that? How do you package yourself up? How do you be an expert? How do you do that? So those are other things we're going to talk about at the coaching summit. So if you're taking action, first 5 people that take action tonight, just type in, I'm in, and Lakin Hibden, who's on here with me, Eric White will contact you and get you enrolled. Don't mess around with that. Get yourself signed up for either May or September, and take advantage of that private time with me. We'll also do a strategy session with you on your message if you're one of the people that take action tonight and get going. So Daniel Hodges, we're going to put you on a stage, big guy. All right, what questions do you have? I got time for just a few questions, and I'd love to answer. And Cody, you've been wonderful as always. If you don't know this dude, you need to know him. If you don't know Jonathan Hawkins that's doing big things in the marketing space, you need to know him. If you don't know some of these top monster producers, you really need to know the kind of network that we have. So I got time for just a few questions if you would like to ask questions. And let me call on some folks. Kelly Knowles, you're a firecracker. What kind of question do you have for me tonight? All right, I'll come back to you. Let's see. All right, Sean Vernon. I got Sean Vernon, then I'm gonna come back to Michael O'Donnell. What question do you have?
Yeah, Coach. I feel like I'm having a hard time zeroing in on a specific message. Like, I feel like I have a lot of things that I feel that I'm good at, and not to sound super full of myself, but how do you try to figure out or zero in on what's that specific message that you wanna give?
I think it comes back to this demonstrated capacity, Sean. I think you got to really do the heavy lifting with some personal time to yourself, and ask yourself, what have I shown a demonstrated capacity for the most? And if I had a TED talk and they only gave me 18 minutes, what would be the subject? Like, I think you got to dig in and say, what is it that I am most qualified to speak on? What is it that people would come and pay good money to hear me talk about? What is it? And it may not be in the specific industry. It may be a specific skill, a primary skill that you have. You know, think about how people take connection, the concept of connection, and they build it into a talk. Or think about a concept that this is a very powerful concept that people would pay to hear. So think about those things, but you really got to do the heavy lifting to figure out what song is inside of you. If you could only sing one song, okay, and I put you in front of 10,000 people, what would be the song that you would sing? Right, okay, what would be the song that you want to sing? And it's going to take a little bit of introspection on your part. It may take you asking some people around you, what do you think what do you think I do? You know, what do you think I do better than anybody else that can really help you? So does that help you?
Yes, it does. That's a great idea.
Okay. Now, what happens, guys, if you don't take action on the coaching summit? What's the cost of indecision in your life? What's the cost of you having a message that you should be sharing, but you're not sharing? How do I quantify that? How do I quantify you not taking action? How does he quantify? How does Cody quantify? He's quantified tonight in numbers, real numbers, what speaking has done for his life and his career. And it's a passion that he had from the time he was a little boy, right? And we saw his grandfather preach. He said, I want to do that. Now, imagine if somebody comes along in his life earlier and says, hey, kid, you got something special. Let's package it up and let's monetize. So think of it this way. How do I find it? How do I package it? How do I monetize it? A lot of people haven't found it and they don't know how to package it. And there is a packaging piece to this. If you watch the videos that I put out, if you watch the packaging of one sheets, websites, Instagram, how we push out to the market, you know, there is a packaging piece to this. It's not just, well, I'm a good speaker. But, you know, there was somebody who walked up to me at 10X and they said to me, well, man, I'm good enough to speak on stage at 10X. And I said to them, you may be, but you didn't figure out how to get on stage. Okay. The difference between me and you is you were in the audience paying money. I was on stage speaking. Okay. So I'm not saying it from an arrogant perspective. I'm just saying you probably are good enough to speak on that stage, but you couldn't figure out how to get on the stage. So there's a piece of this that I got to show you that there's a business side to this. There's not just you being a great speaker. Okay. It's how do I get in the room with those dudes, right? How did Greg Kimball, who's on here with us tonight, who was incredible on the cruise, he get in on the shout tour with us? Okay. How do you get on the stage so you can share your message with the world? And I'm gonna connect Greg and Cody so you guys can talk with each other. You know, so when you're thinking about this concept, guys, what's the cost of inaction in your life if you don't take action? I mean, I think that's what you really got to ask yourself. You're going to learn everything at the summit that you need to know. Okay, the workbook just goes through all the things I'm going to coach on the summit, and then getting in the room with me for 2.5 days could mean millions of dollars to you. So Davis S asked this: how to start from zero to making money. I think it's going to start, Davis, with you having a message, you having a concept, you giving that message to people and working the muscle, you becoming better, you getting good enough that people would be willing to compensate you and pay you for that. So I think that's where it's all going to start. Having something to say is just as valuable as having somebody to say it to. Early in my career, I had a basic message: a good coach can change your life. Now, what's ironic is 10 or 15 years later, I came back to that concept, which is my seminal message. And I wrote a whole book called Everybody Needs a Coach in Life. And I had a major publishing deal with Simon & Schuster. And that was my core message in life. Like, this is it. Everybody needs a great coach in their life. Okay. Kelly knows, and we'll finish this up. Okay. Kelly said, yes, that's the challenge I have to zero in. I'm excellent at putting together custom talks for the client. That's good. I think custom talks are good. Okay. But I think if you really want to be monetized at a very high level, you need to start with one talk, and you need to become world class at that one talk. Think Simon Sinek, start with why, right? Think Jim Collins, good to great. Think Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Think who's the new guy out, Atomic Habits. This is one core message. Okay. And I think once you have this core message, it's like, this is what I'm great at. This is what I'm going to talk about. Okay. All right, guys, I want to tell you how much I enjoyed being with you tonight. Cody, you were great as always. Thank you. I look forward to being part of 8% Nation. Thank you again for having me back a third year. Okay, I feel good when somebody invites me back 3 straight years. Makes me feel like I'm adding some value and creating something for it. It's going to be an incredible conference. That conference is going to be out in Las Vegas this summer. Some of the biggest names
Yep.
in the world are going to be there. And so congratulations on putting on. I'm just so proud of you as a coach to you and as a friend to you. I'm just proud of you for doing the big things, man. You really inspire me. So thank you for that.
Thank you, buddy. Well, you challenge and inspire me every day, and I'm telling you, I've finished my first book because I went to the coaching summit. So thank you for challenging me while I was there, buddy. I appreciate it.
I love it, man. You got a message, guys. So get in, take advantage. If you got questions, listen, if you got questions, Eric White, Eric at coachbird.com, Lakin at coachbird.com. They're here. They're going to reach out to you. LaDon Townsend, I'd love to see you there. Michael O'Donnell, I'm looking forward to seeing you. You guys, I can't wait to see you in person and spend 2.5 days with you. And I promise you, I will give you more value than what you invest. And remember me telling you about the investment. I invested that money when I was 25 years old. I borrowed the money from my mother and I paid her back $50 a month until I paid the whole thing back. And that one thing has helped me to make millions of dollars speaking. So thank you for showing up tonight. Take action. Let us know if we can help you. And here's to taking your message to the world. God bless you guys. Thanks for having me.